The Gila trout is a native species of this river, and it's a one of a kind. That species is an indicator species, meaning when that species can thrive in this place, that means there's a balance. That means systems are working as they should. I first came to the Gila when I was working with Fish and Wildlife Service. I started work there just out of college, a temp seasonal job. Worked there several years on different rivers, different projects throughout New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and then was finally blessed to get on a Gila trip. Specifically, I was here helping US Fish and Wildlife, basically preparing the streams for introduction of native Gila trout species. Trout, they need specific habitats, and that could include the substrate of the stream, right? If you're talking cobble versus sand. They also need a certain type of water quality, whether that's turbidity, salinity, conductivity. So there's all these elements related to stream health. When you see native indicator species such as the Gila trout dying off or not being able to survive in that system, then something's out of balance. Systems change automatically. Things don't stay static. Indicator species such as the trout can help us understand those changes and understand the system.
My name is Jim Brooks, and I'm a retired biologist with the Fish and Wildlife Service. These days, I do a lot of packing in support of Gila trout recovery efforts, and we also take people into the woods for environmental education. So I own a lot of mules, and we've been packing for about the last 25 years. My job has primarily been working on native fish recovery efforts. And during most of that time, I've been a game warden. I've been a fishery manager working on game fish populations, but the last 20 years of my career were spent working here in the Gila on Gila trout recovery efforts. I had so much of a passion for hunting and fishing, which is sort of a narrow interest in the resources, but it opened doors to learning more. And so I learned a lot more about what I hunted and fished for, and all the habitat issues, all the other animals that you don't hunt and fish for, how everything works together to make a healthy environment. Our primary objective here is to protect the habitat, but not just to have a nice stream. You want a good stream, a healthy stream that supports all the fish, all the elk that come off the top of that ridge and come down to water, the bears that are here. Restoring the stream is not just for Gila trout, it restores it for everything, but the better off the Gila trout is in a restored stream, then that translates to better habitat conditions for everything. What we try to do is to bring volunteer efforts to the stream to help collect the technical information that the Forest Service, the Game and Fish Department, the Federal Fish and Wildlife Service can use to help manage the resource. And we do it, we volunteer to do it. The idea is to provide them with more technical information so that when they make a decision about things like how they build the road up through here, or how much they log, or how much they graze, then they do it with the stream health and the health of the fish population.
I'm Johnny Zapata, and I rescue Gila trout. What happens after the fire burns everything, and then it starts raining, and then it washes all that ash back in the creek, and that's what kills them. All that, they can't breathe right because of all the ash and dirt and everything, the debris in the creek. So the fire itself won't kill them, you know. It's afterwards, all the ash and soil that comes back in the creek, and that's what gets them.
Oh, it's a shark. Oh, it's beautiful.
My name is Zach Law. I work for range for the Forest Service, but basically I'm a packer. Forest Service packers to try to help save the Gila trout. Our basic job is to get Gila trout either in or out of the wilderness, wherever they need to go. Our biologists and Fish and Wildlife and New Mexico Game and Fish, partners do a lot of the on the ground actually catching them. Our job is putting them on a mule and either getting them out of the wilderness, out of the way of a fire, or taking them and putting them back after the fire and once the stream has rehabbed itself. And I mean, we packed everything from electroshocking fishing gear to their food, their tents, anything and everything they would need to spend their week or 14 days or however long they were going to be out there. Just get their gear into the wilderness. So to rescue Gila trout during a wildfire, there is lots and lots of things involved. The biggest thing I'm sure probably is safety of everybody involved first. And then as it gets planned, lots of planning goes into it. We would get a group of biologists together, to actually do the fish work. We would get their gear together and plan the trip. Where do we need to go? When do we need to be there? How long are we going to be there? And then we would pack all their gear into the wilderness. They would shock the fish, and in some cases, if it was a short distance, we would load the fish onto the mules and fly them out, gear in there, and those biologists would collect fish, and then a helicopter would bring a bucket hanging from a long line, and they would set that down in the creek. The biologist would dump the fish in there and fly them out to a hatchery truck.
We're here with my boy, Santiago. This is his first time on the Gila. I think my more important job as a mother is to expose him to these different places. Let him see the water.
Today we're gonna catch some fish. I put a camera right there.
We have to educate kids so that they are aware of what's going on in the world. I want them to know that the Gila is not just a place on the map. Like, it's a true place that is just bigger than any map can describe. And about the fish, fish are cool. Like, why can't we say it? Fish are cool. And the fact that such an awesome, important indicator native species in your Southwest, in our Southwest, that's awesome. That's awesome, and it's also rare. Be aware. To be aware of the gifts of your own region, the gifts of place. I think the Gila trout is just one portion of the larger spirit of this place we call Gila!